Welcome again, everybody. Thank you for joining us here tonight. We will go ahead and get started. My name is Pierce Paul Kreisman. It's my pleasure to serve as the Executive Director of the American Center of Research. We are so grateful that you're joining us here tonight. We have what I know is a wonderful lecture for us. I've been selling it so big that it's just going to be the best one ever. We are graced with the presence of His Excellency Professor Fawzi Abudanah, who is a scholar of classical and Near Eastern archaeology with a primary background in Roman and Nabatean studies. He earned his doctorate in Roman archaeology from the University of Newcastle upon Tyne in England, and then has spent most of his career working in southern Jordan. Of course, now he is our Director General of the Department of Antiquities. We just had a big week last week. So the Ashaj conference, for everybody who was able to join in on parts of that, was really spectacular. And so he's going to give us a talk about his research these last many years, urban and economic activities in the hinterland of Petra. Thank you for doing this with us.
Yeah, thank you very much. No? Cool. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Okay. Okay. Good evening. Thank you very much, Dr. Paul. And I would like to seize the opportunity to, of course, to thank ACOR for the invitation and for everybody here for coming at this time. I know it's time to relax, maybe to have a nap or to have a cup of coffee after a long day. Yes, we have been in Greece, so just came back. When I was asked to give a talk or a lecture about my work, I thought, what should it be about? So I first thought about the hinterland of Petra because, as you know, most of you are archaeologists. Most of the time, people are working in Petra, and everybody would like to have a link with Petra. So because I also live in the hinterland of Petra, and I thought it's good to do something and focus in my area where I live and to understand the connection between Petra and its hinterland. We know Petra was and is still a great city, but I think the hinterland also contributed to the flourish of Petra. And from what I used to see in my area, and even after getting my degree, when I went to the field several times, I thought the hinterland of Petra is probably more important than we thought at the beginning, because Petra, the area where I used to do my field work, is very close to Petra. And the archaeological features I saw in the area was the archaeological evidence, I mean, was enough to let me think about the hinterland of Petra. So I decided to talk today about the hinterland of Petra because that's the area where I do my field work, and it's the same area where I live also, and because of the more importantly, because of the archaeological evidence we have from in the hinterland of Petra. I should admit that most of the evidence I presented today, I figured out its existence when I was doing my PhD. when I did a fieldwork, a survey for my PhD. I studied the region of Odro in particular during the Roman and Byzantine period, focusing on the settlement patterns and the military organization in that area, because at Odro we have a Roman legionary fortress from built early in the 4th century AD. And when I was moving from one side to another, I noticed the presence of some of the evidence I'm presenting today. I never thought that we have this evidence. For instance, roads. I never imagined that we have ancient roads still existing. I never thought that we have wine presses. I never thought that we have such a number of, for instance, rock cut cisterns. I never thought of the existence of tombs. Most of the time, archaeologists talk about the tombs in Petra. Of course, I know that we have so many Kherba in the area where I live, and every time we move from one place to another, we see these ruined sites. But I never thought that this is part of a socio-economic and cultural and political system that existed in the area. So today, so the hinterland is not as archaeologists used to think. The hinterland of Petra was very important uh, uh, for the economy of Petra, and it was also very important on the socio-economic level, of course, and definitely for also the political system in Petra itself. So today I'm gonna present not everything, of course. It's difficult to present everything, but something about what we have in the hinterland, about the settlement sites, about the water harvesting systems. We have water restorations, roads, ancient roads, also the wine presses and the tombs we have in the area. So we are talking about a full circle reflecting that people were not living temporarily in the hinterland of Petra. Because as you know, some archaeologists suggested that the hinterland of Petra in some areas was not permanently inhabited. But from previous, of course, fieldwork studies and surveys, and from my own surveys, now, well, for sure, we can say that people used to live in the hinterland of Petra permanently. So, okay, let's go to the next slide. I'm sorry. Here you can see this is the study area where I focused my work, including, of course, the area of Odro to the east of Petra, and the hinterland of Petra, which is the Shara Ridge. Most of you know this name or familiar with this name, Shara Mountains, Silsila Jibal Shara. That's where I did my fieldwork surveys. So in this area, we have the highest mountain in that area, which is Jebel Mabrak, 1727 meters above sea level, the second highest mountain in Jordan after Mudami. Actually, it was the highest in Jordan before the modification of the borders with Saudi Arabia. Now Umdami is the highest, but now Jebel Mabrak in this area. So this is a very high ridge, and we used to get snow, not actually as heavy as before now. So there is a climate change. I can see, I can feel every year. It's not the same now. So I started with my fieldwork by conducting different fieldwork projects. The one for the region of Odro for my PhD studies, and then the ancient road network project, and another project with Dr. Lucy Waitson to record and study the tombs in the hinterland of Petra, the ancient tombs, which I initially discovered or noticed their existence when I was recording the ancient roads. And later with Mechthild to record and study the agricultural, the Nabatean Roman agricultural sites in the hinterland of Petra. So this is in the area where I'm working. I initiated the project to record the ancient roads in cooperation and with my colleagues from Petra College for Tourism and Archaeology, Dr. Saad Waisi, Dr. Muhammad Tarawna, and Dr. Adib Salamin. So this is the area where I'm working. Now, when we talk about the settlements, what the type of settlements we have there? Mainly khirba or khirab in Arabic, ruined sites. And one of my dreams, to be honest with you, is to have a plan for each khirba in the study area. And it would be great actually if we can initiate such a project to have an idea about the size of the settlements we have there, and also to establish a typology of the sites, because in terms of size, location, and function, these sites are not the same. They are not doing the same function, because in size some of them are small, some of them are big, some of them in between, and some of them are obviously are central sites. It's important to have a plan and a map for all these sites in order to understand the spatial distribution of these sites, if it's part of a socio-economic system. And it would be great if we can initiate this project and have a plan for each structure. But during our field work, we did try to produce plans for some of the sites we come to during, and in particular when we were recording ancient roads. This is, by the way, this is an ancient road here passing this site, and there another ancient road passing the site. So one of the observation and the conclusion for roads, that each site, not only the khirba or the settlement sites, even threshing floors, springs, water sources, everywhere, every spot of these served by a road. So the landscape is really well organized. And in many places, we notice that people in ancient times, of course, cut through the bedrock in order to keep the path of a road, not to go either way, to use the land which is suitable for agriculture. So the landscape there is really well organized. So here we come to this site. So we decided, and this with Mechthild, we decided to study these structures or these khirda, at least to have an idea what we have there. The walls we see in the service, are they really a part of a building or something, or are they just walls rebuilt by time, or people using the walls for a certain function? But then when we produced these plans, we came to the conclusion that this is, we're talking about like a structure, something, it's a building for people to live there, to stay there. And most of the time, and I'm not exaggerating when I say every time, there's a fertile land surrounding these structures and very good for agriculture. So as you see in these two plans, it's not, of course, the plans are not the same for both sides. It depends actually, as I said at the beginning, the size and the function is not the same. It's not the same for the site, but I can say that most of them are settlement sites related to agricultural activities in the hinterland of Petra. Not only, this is not, this actually conclusion is not only based on the location of these structures, simply because they are located within an agricultural area. No. If you look around, you will see terracing walls everywhere, everywhere. There are also clearance mounts. So you cannot miss, actually, and feel the agricultural activities which used to go on for centuries in the area surrounding any of these sites. Not only this, but I need, actually, what I'm saying, I need to prove scientifically, to prove. In other places, I noticed that they cut the thin layer of the bedrock to uncover the soil which is suitable for agriculture. So there was a high demand on soil for agriculture. Uh, and this, for me, this is understandable, because when you consider the number of sites in the hinterland of Petra, you feel that the high demand on agriculture and on soil for agriculture. So if we talk about the economy, so the economy of the hinterland of Petra is based on agriculture. So people were mostly farmers. I can also tell from the number of threshing floors everywhere. If there is an exposed bedrock, and sometimes if there isn't a suitable bedrock to be used as a threshing floor, they use flagstones to make a pavement. And if there is a small space or floor for bedrock, they pave the area next to that, and then they will have a threshing floor. And most of the time, there is a threshing floor in the bedrock next to these structure sites. And maybe to judge from the surface, when you look in the surface, you see ruined walls and structures, khirba. This actually was created by looters. But if you look carefully into the stones, they are ashlars, cut stones, similar to what we see in Petra. And this is, I'm not saying it's too far from Petra, it's close to Petra, but this is in the area where archaeologists tend to think that it's not really like what we have in Petra. It's something different, probably in terms of the time period, probably in terms of the function. But if we carefully look at these stones, it's ashlars, and it's similar to what we have in Petra itself. So this is one evidence we have there in the hinterland of Petra. And as I said, most of these structures are served with ancient roads coming next to a site, and sometimes you could see the what you call a corridor, a short exit connecting. I mean, it's really astonishing when you see these details. You feel it. Was it, and you ask yourself, was it really necessary to this extent to have this short exit defined with two walls and connected to a major road? That was always actually surprised me. Yeah, sorry. And of course, as you know, water is life. So water is important. And Shara Ridge is known for the availability of permanent water sources, mainly springs. But even though people in ancient times managed to have an extra water harvesting systems, so they also thought of collecting rainwater, not only taking water from springs and building channels and irrigating their fields or their farms, but also they managed to to have another water harvesting system. And here what we see, and I deliberately decided to focus on this because this is also unique. In the hinterland of Petra, I myself recorded in 28 sites rock cut cisterns. We know the rock cut cisterns are quite very common in Petra and in Bayda and other places, but also we have them in the hinterland of Petra, and this is not too far from Petra. This area is to the east of Petra, and here we see rock cut cistern. This is how they look from outside, from the surface. You see a basin here, but in fact we have an earth channel there running all the way to the upper slope of the hill in order to collect the runoff water, rainwater, and guiding the water, the runoff water from the surface down to this basin, which is a settling basin, and then water goes inside a rock cut, or sometimes not necessarily a rock cut man-made cistern. It could be a cave, a natural cave. In many examples, they modified the natural caves into cisterns and coating the walls of these caves or rock cut cisterns with waterproof plaster. And you can see here we have waterproof plaster. And there in one example, actually, this is the opening. This is the opening of this cistern. This is from outside, but when you go inside, this is the settling basin. But I managed at that time. I was not that. No, I cannot go. I think this is the advantage of being slim. So I managed to go inside and go down, and here we have some steps leading down to the bottom of the cistern in order to clean it, because obviously people used to go down and clean the cistern and to prepare it for the next raining season. And you could tell from the number of the layer of the waterproof plaster that these cisterns were being in use for a long time. So they were under restoration and cleaning for probably many centuries. And by the way, in my area, we have a special term. Probably epigraphers could be interested in this. We call them gair, this type of, and even they continue to be in use for a long time. For instance, here we have a rock cut cistern, and this is interesting because here we have a traditional house which built on an ancient structure. They didn't change even the plan of the ancient structure, but they built on the walls of the ancient structure. And obviously the ancient structure used to have a courtyard with a bedrock here. The bedrock was seized to collect the rainwater, and then water would go inside the rock cut cistern, which was cut in the center of this courtyard. So this traditional house was in use until probably 1950s, 1960s. So this is a good example, and they always in the hinterland in many places, even in the way to Aqaba, if you go via Raj of Taiba, you will on either side of the road, the mother road, you can see some of these houses in remote places, but most of them, if not all of them, are built on ancient sites. And this actually this is something that we need to study and to understand why people decided to keep using the same sites, because most of the time from the 20th century we have people living in clusters in traditional villages, but in some places we have isolated and single houses, traditional houses. And probably I'm not sure if the map is clear enough, but here you could see the locations of these cisterns. the rock cut cisterns. Okay. Okay. When we're talking about the hinterland, there are many projects actually initiated in the past, including, of course, 19th century. Why I'm saying 19th century travelers? Because myself and my colleague Dr. Southwest, we both published a book about Petra in the literature of 19th century travelers. And by reading the literature of these travelers, you could notice that they also refer to ancient sites along the routes they took to Petra, and they usually give details about this. And I think these descriptions or details about these sites are very important for us because the sites are not anymore in the same situation like the time when these travelers saw them first time. So these are very important information. Nelson Gluck, as you know very well, and in the hinterland also we have Sir Stein, David Graf, of course, very important, and Tom Parker as well, Laurent Tolbeek, and Burton MacDonald in his two mega projects, one between Ale and Shamach and Ale Cross and Nagab. These are very important, and I use them actually, especially when I discuss the dating of these sites, because MacDonald covered a huge area in the Shara Ridge, and he collected, along with his team, of course, he collected pottery from all of the sites wherever pottery is available. Now the roads. I mentioned some information at the beginning of my lecture about roads, but roads astonished me much than any other evidence, because I never thought that we have roads from ancient times. And this is one map from a certain part of the study area. This is actually the modern road taking you from Petra to Aqaba. You go through Taiba and Rajaf, Taiba, and then you come to a point where you take the desert highway. And this is part of the desert highway where the police station is when you start descending the Ras Al Nakab escarpment to Aqaba. So along this road, we noticed also the presence of segments of an ancient road. But what was actually very significant and surprising is the existence of secondary roads branching off the main or the major road. And see from this map, or I could see that they go everywhere. In fact, they go everywhere because they go to sites, settlement sites. They go to water sources. They go to threshing floors. So they go everywhere. How did we record these roads? We used the GPS, of course, a rover GPS that records a point every 3 meters. I used to put in my bag and walk, and it automatically records a point every 3 meters. And this is the accuracy, in terms of accuracy, 2 meters and sometimes 1 meter, 15 centimeter. It depends actually on the area, but most of the time this is enough, because the major roads, they are quite wide. They could be as wide as 8 meters. The secondary roads, no, some of them are not really roads. They are exits or pathways. Some of them are only pathways for animals and for people, to give them access to move between the fields. Because obviously it was not allowed for people to move from wherever they like. So in some places it's only 1.5 meter wide or 1 meter wide. This is one of the major roads. This is actually along the so-called the King's Highway. This is the modern road to Aqaba, and it's still there, by the way. If you go to Petra, you could stop there and have a look if you like. But unfortunately, because of the construction of the building of the modern road, we lost many segments of this road. But also on either side of this major road, the major road, they run north to south. North to south. Secondary roads, they follow the hillsides and they go east-west, because most of the time the settlement sites and fishing floors, water sources are located on either side. So and no single location we found flagstones or pavement, except along the famous vein of Petra. This is something different, which I actually walked from Ras Al Naqab to Wadi Al Hassa. Not in one day, of course, but one day we walked for 8 hours, and it's still there, this is one of the major roads, and here, actually, your eyes get trained when you walk these roads. It's not easy for any person to notice their existence, but they are there. This is a segment of the same major road, but also here I could notice a secondary road going that way. This is to the east of the Rajaf, one of the major roads. It doesn't exist anymore now. It doesn't exist, unfortunately, because of the new project, the wind mills for electricity. Doesn't exist, unfortunately. So this is one of the major roads where it runs also north to south. Look at this one here. For the local people, they call it Habal. But in fact, it's an ancient road. And the shrubs there, they grow on the path of the road, because it's defined by 2 walls, and there are stones in the middle, and this actually gives more humidity, so shrubs grow. And you can see here is the part of it, but you can see, and here you see the secondary roads traversing the landscape between the fields. Sometimes it could be, the walls could be misleading. At the beginning, you think this is a terracing wall. Cannot be part of a road, because usually the roads are defined by 2 walls on either side. But in fact, because of the wall of the road, the farmers used to seize its existence to make a field wall to protect their fields, or to define their fields. And by the way, in the Petra Church scrolls, we have in many places references to for taxation, for the sake of taxation. We have a reference to specify the location of a piece of land by referring to the roads in the area. They define the location of a certain piece of land by referring to the roads which comes to that piece of land or pass by. So, and it could be very wide, like this one here. In one place, and this one there actually, that we found what looks to me, it looks like a milestone. It looks like a drum of a column, but most likely probably a milestone, because here on that side is, unfortunately, it's not appearing, but this is a hillside, and at the top of the hill there is a mega structure site, and the secondary road goes up all the way to the settlement site. See, sometimes it's hard to notice their existence, but in the late afternoon, before sunset, you could easily see them, or early in the morning. And this is one of the roads going up. And in this map, you could see the settlement sites. So the landscape is dotted with these settlement sites everywhere you go. And sometimes you have secondary roads, which runs slightly north to south, and of them there are also secondary roads. This is actually here, the one in red is a part of the Via Nova Traiana. And the one black here, the King's Highway. Okay, another instance. Again, the Via Nova Traiana, part of it, the King's Highway, and one of the secondary roads, which goes off the King's Highway. But look, everywhere there is a settlement site near to the, look at this, for instance. Look, the secondary small road ends at this settlement site. So all the sites are served with roads. Again, maybe this is the same. If you go back to this one, for instance, look here. How many sites located along this secondary road. So this is a well-organized landscape. We see sites everywhere, but in fact, this is a well-organized landscape. This is an aerial photo from APAMI archive. And here we have خربة الثلاجة, or no, not Ambaradiyya. And by the way, here is the modern road to Aqaba. And this is the souvenir shop, the only souvenir shop on the road. So this is the point where the Via Nova, this actually segment is most likely Via Nova Traiana. And this is the point where the Via Nova Traiana intersects a segment of the King's Highway. And again, this is Ambaradiyya, traditional houses, but also an ancient settlement site. And probably the secondary road going to the site is not, and probably cannot be easily noted, but here you could see. Can you see that line? It goes to the settlement site, and another branch goes to that site. And also, they actually, this is amazing because they give accessibility from every possible point. So in order to, this is my understanding, to organize the traffic going to the same site, if somebody is going from the south and somebody is going coming from the north, so they don't actually meet at one point. So those who come from that side, they can go this way, they can take this secondary road, and those who come from that side, they can go this way. And this is noticeable not only at this site, in many sites. There is access to the same site from different directions. So, and this is in the spring. One of the, probably this is what I believe is a segment of Via Nova Traiana, because David de Graaf suggested that Via Nova Traiana runs further west from Wadi Musa via what's called the site. There is a site south of Wadi Musa, and it goes, according to David Graaf, Via Nova runs from that direction, further west. But according to my observations, I think this is a segment of Via Nova Traiana, because it goes all the way through the valley to Basta, then to Ale. And that Nelson Gluck in 1930s found a milestone. At the beginning, he thought it's 2 milestones, but in fact, David de Graaf restudied the milestone or the supposed 2 milestones, and then he concluded that it's 1 milestone, but it's broken into 2 pieces. And according to the inscription that David de Graaf published from that milestone, the road subjected to rebuilding in the years between 236 and 238. And this is important evidence that Villanova Triana was still, in the 3rd century, was still in use. And in the spring, you can easily notice the existence of these roads because of the shrubs and the wheat and the barley fields on the other side. Now, time to taste some wine. In the hinterland of Petra, the people tasted wine, and probably they never tasted. I think why in the title of my lecture tonight I said economic activities, because I think although this is from a small part of the Shararaj, it's only it doesn't actually, the evidence I'm presenting tonight is not covering the whole area of Shara, but from small parts. So judging from the evidence we have and the density, I mean the number of wine presses, people were producing, actually cultivating grapes, producing wine for commercial and economic purposes. And we know that the Nabateans had feasts that always associated with wine. And this is very common practice in the classical period. So I should also admit, when I started my field work in 2003 for my PhD thesis, I thought when I used to see these structures, this type of structures in particular, I used to think that they could be to collect rainwater. But later I learned, and this is a good advice for the young archaeologists, that you learn by time. You may at one point have a certain interpretation of a feature, but then later you learn that this is wrong, but this is good. This is the natural way that we learn. So I thought they were to collect rainwater, but then I recognized that these are wine presses, similar to the ones we have in Bayda and in Petra. But the difference between the ones we have in Bayda and Petra, in Bayda in particular, the ones in Bayda and Petra are rock cut, but here they are mostly built. Probably this is what misled me to and making me preferring my first interpretation. But by collecting more evidence, I was sure that these are wine presses, and it's almost the same layout. You have the treading basin and the collecting vat, and this furnished usually the collecting vat, of course, with a stairway leading to the bottom. Usually it's furnished with also a depression at the bottom, and this is the final collecting, point, and always coated with waterproof plaster. So this one here is part of one of these wine presses, which consists usually in the hinterland of Petra. They consist of a treading basin, and then you have the collecting vat in front of the treading basin. And on this site in particular, we have two wine presses at the same spot next to each other. And here you could see probably from the photo, notice the thickness of the waterproof plaster. So this is the collecting vat here. Another one here. So one of the probably the challenging one of the challenges is to date these wine presses, but based on the evidence we have from Petra and Beta, so it's almost similar. Although in Beta we have two typology, type A and type B, and the one we have here are similar to type A, which does not have and like most of the time the ones in Beta they have intermediate vat between the collecting vat and the treating basin. Generally speaking, the Hinterland of Petra, from the ceramic evidence, which is from the surface, it's not enough to come to conclusions regarding the date. But we have the Iron Age, the Edomite period, we have the Nabatean Roman, and we have the Byzantine period. These are the three major periods that you have, judging from the ceramic evidence. From the Hinterland of Petra, but of course, as you know, the surface evidence is not enough actually to decide the time periods where these features were in use. Tombs now, from life to death. That's the end of life. The end of life. So tombs, again. Also, the way that these features of the tombs, the way they are built, in fact, they are misleading. And even archaeologists mislead their interpretation because most of the time they refer to them as watchtowers. Why? Because most of the time these tombs are located in hilltops, in strategic locations. And from the external look of these tombs, they look, in fact, square structures. So they look like towers. And because of their strategic locations and mostly on hilltops, they used to be interpreted as watchtowers. But in fact, they are not. They are not watchtowers. I'm not saying that there are no watchtowers. Of course, there are watchtowers. But also, there are tombs. And why they are on these particular spots? Again, because most of the time, these spots are bedrocks, rocky outcrops, not suitable for agriculture. This is one reason. And also, I think it's good to have your beloved ones, the tombs of your beloved ones, on a nice spot that you keep remembering them. You feel their existence. And also, and I noticed this not in Petra or in the hinterland of Petra, but in the desert, and also the Bedouins refer to the tombs as a landmark for guiding them to travel in the desert. So they could have many functions, but also it's a way to respect your beloved ones when they die. Also, because rocky outcrops, it gives you the chance to cut the bedrock and to go vertically rather than horizontally, and to save the soil, which is good for agriculture. So again, it's a way to think about the land use. The land use. So here I recorded these tombs when I was surveying the landscape around Petra, looking for ancient roads. But myself and my colleague, Dr. Lucy Wilson, we recorded them properly, and we excavated one of the tombs, which tends to be a Nabatean family tomb. The typology is not really something new, but it has a special layout that make them local. We have parallel examples from other places, from the Negev, we have from Jarash, we have from Humayma, we have from Kharbat al-Darih, but the ones around Petra, they are slightly different. In some details, they are not exactly the same. So more or less, they are local type. And in terms of their size, the largest is 13 by 13 meters. Most of the time, they cut a chamber into the bedrock, and on three sides of they build locali to put the bodies of the dead. And when they finish using the available space in the locali, they also made tombs or graves into the floor, similar to what we have also in Petra itself. So this is one example. They look like from distance. At the beginning you think, oh, this is a watchtower. It's a strategic location. The view is really nice. You can watch your enemies moving around, and you can keep your people alert. But in fact, when you go deep, you have a different story. There are tombs, and at most of these sites, although most of them were looted, but we noticed the existence of bones, human bones. So I think this is the evidence, but now some of the serious questions, is everything from the same time period? It's difficult to tell, because you have the settlement sites, many of them were or remained in use for long periods, including the ones which have traditional houses. And again, the date is based on the service evidence, potsherds, diagnostic potsherds from the service, and this is not enough to have a conclusion regarding the date. But what we can confirm from this evidence, that the hinterland of Petra was so important to Petra itself, economically, socially speaking, from all aspects. I think the hinterland, the people were living there permanently, not as some archaeologists suggested or tend to think, that people were living there for a short time, seasonally, and then they go back. But judging from the architecture, from the size of the sites, the activities there, I think people were enjoying their life in the hinterland of Petra, and there was a high demand on soil for agriculture, and the landscape was very well organized. So this is what I can say for today. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you for opening our eyes. And I'm sure like everybody else, every time I go to the south and see shrubs, I'm going to see roads now.
You will enjoy it.
I'll never be able to look at a hilltop and not see what's there. And when I start WhatsApping you pictures, you'll know why. It's your fault.
Okay.
Can we take a couple of questions? I know you have another appointment this evening, but can we impose on your time some more?
Yes.
Okay. We'll take two questions and then we will call it an evening, everyone. Yes. Okay, soon. It's going to be a hard one. Hold on.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fawzi. I have actually quick two questions. The first one about did you find in the sorry, in the rock shelters that you found there, did you excavate any of them? I mean, did you go below? Is there any like prehistoric material in these rock shelters? This is one question. The other question, how? A quick one. How did you decide that the wine presses they are wine presses, not water collect? Yani, did you do any analysis for that? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, for the first part of your question, it's one question, two parts. Yeah, we found prehistoric material, including shoe and hand axes. In one area, I think we found 3 hand axes. You know grain, Dr. Mason, to the west of grain, to the west of grain. We were actually making a plan for an agricultural site, and we surveyed the area around, and then we found the 3 hand axes. For the second part of your question, no, we haven't done any analysis. Maybe for the future we can take samples from the plaster. But judging from the typology we have from Petra and from the types of water harvesting systems, I can say that yes, we are sure that these are wine presses, and considering also the evidence from Petra and Bayla, this is now a well-established typology for this type of features. I also noticed that in one area, the toponyms, as you know, are really important. In one area, two areas actually. One is called Zaytuna, and the next one next to it called Al-Bayyadat, Al-Bayyadat. And probably this is something relevant to grapes. No, olive presses. The olive presses are different. For olive, you need heavy weight, and normally it's a basalt, and it's or the bed, which is different system. But you cannot do this by like pressing the grapes using your foot, or according to Willie. In Bayda, he noticed the existence of systematic holes cut into the bedrock, the surface of the bedrock, and his conclusion, his interpretation of these holes, that they were used to fix mechanical machines to put, waste into the treading basin for the wine pressing.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And there must be seeds in the layers of plaster, and then maybe we can date the seeds.
We can do this, yeah.
Shukran, Dr. Fawzi. My question about the roads that you showed us, are those roads like paved roads with the organized stones, or they were just tracks for people and caravans were just bathing, and the rocks are lining the path for them? And do you think this is connected to Khatshabib line, which is also goes from north to south, along also parallel to these roads?
Thank you, Dr. Sahar. No, they have nothing to do with Khatshabib. Khatshabib, as you know, it's something different, and its location is slightly far away from this road. These are roads. Mostly, they are not paved, except Bainova Triana. It's the only road I noticed the existence of flagstones or pavement. But the rest are not paved. So most of them are not paved, and they were used for people and animals to travel, and also to move between the fields, and to carry when in harvesting seasons, to carry the wheat or the barley or whatever they use to cultivate to threshing floors. So they were mainly to tropic, you know. There's a question or two questions that side. Oh, okay.
There will be a million questions. If you
Okay.
keep one more, and then we will adjourn so that everyone can ask you their questions at the same time.
Okay, maybe we can take two because they raised their hands from the beginning. Sorry.
Thank you, Dr.
Give them
Rabi. You're my friend, so thank you. I want to ask a question which probably most of the audience don't know about, is that they built those waterways with cement made from lime. It's like hundreds of years before other empires and other cultures. Can you shed, more information about how did they get those rocks together and how did they build, on top of that? Thank you.
For the water installations, or I missed it.
Sounds like your microphone. I think he's
The
asking about the
waterproof
waterproof
plaster?
cements. Yeah.
Oh, the waterproof. Yeah, it's from limestones, and we have from many sites we have kilns, lime kilns, and for instance, in the area of Udro, we have lime kilns, and by the way, the tradition of manufacturing lime lasted for a long time in the area until the first half of the 20th century. Even for instance, the people of the city of Ma'an were famous for producing lime, and they used to have kilns in the area around Odro. So yeah, producing lime was common and known in the area.
Thank you, sir. We actually have so many people here that we have people downstairs and in other rooms. So we will call that an evening for now. Hopefully you'll stay and join us so people can keep asking questions at our reception. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.